amateur cast where I get you and your replays to be casted for my entertainment and hopefully to help you improve a little bit as well. I'm your host, ZookaMan, and we're going to be going into a ZVP. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our players. In the bottom left-hand side, representing Clan Hoa, we have whitefenix as our red Zerg player, and his opponent in the top left we have Elkon's Cube. If only there was a D, then you could call him cubed, as in the math term. Aha, ZookaMan, you're so funny. Yes, I am, ZookaMan. In any case, ZVP, what's it about? What's going on? Well, I expect from the Protoss player that we're probably going to be seeing Gateway into Robotics, into Robotics Bay. There we go, that's the word I was trying to think of. Which means Colossus, Immortals, Gateway units, all those fancy-dancy things that Protoss could ever want in life. And from our Zerg player, I expect probably a quicker hatchery, because in high-level games such as this, which I believe is a Masters, we're going to be probably seeing an earlier hatchery into a little bit of a later pool. We might see a little bit later of gases as well, because in High League sometimes you'll see early quick 3 hatch, and in that case you don't necessarily always want to take gas immediately after your pool, but you want to have the pool up just in case you need to be defensive against any sort of Protoss cheesy thing. It's a real technical term, I know. Protoss cheesy thing. We have a natural expansion note from our Protoss player, and there comes the spawning pool now from whitefenix, and it'll have the extractor coming up right now as well. So hip hip hooray, rather. We are going to be going into probably Zerglings from our Zerg player, and maybe those will be just to push out, get some scouting information, and see what they can do. Cube going to be delaying his second gas, but he's going to be finishing that up right now, and all will be good in the world as he starts to get up the probes and all that fancy dancy stuff. Spawning pool will be finishing up, but it looks like he does have enough to be able to research that out, so we'll probably see it fairly shortly. Meanwhile, Cube is gonna start to work on this wall, and it's a little bit interesting, to say the least. Normally, you're probably not gonna be seeing a pylon in the front. Normally, they're in the back with the gateways and forges in the front. But this isn't a big deal until roaches hit the field. Once roaches hit the field, it's a little bit of a bigger problem. Of course, you're going to have a couple of Zerglings on their way across the field as our Zerg player gears up to take his third base as soon as this probe stops being annoying. Oh, probes! Always building pylons and blocking expansions. But he's going to get it nonetheless. And in the meantime, whitefenix now has Zerglings entering the base of Cube, who is now going to find himself without a pylon. But it's okay, he's going to build another one and get a Zealot to try to take care of this. However, the Surround is going to come out. We're going to lose 1 Zergling, and we're going to lose 2 Zerglings for a Zealot, which, in all actuality, isn't that bad of a trade. This pylon is going to get up. We're going to build another pylon to try and stem the flow, but whitefenix isn't going to get any more Zerglings to us at this point, so that's going to be good. He's going to probably start focusing on droning up a little bit. His natural and his third both are a little bit undersaturated. Well, this third base, it isn't as big of a deal, but yeah, it starts to work on getting some drones into that natural expansion, and that'll be all fine and dandy. We also have Medbuff Boost on his way as of now. So that will be finishing up. Yay. This Zergling is going to get brutally murdered by a sentry and a mothership core, because we don't like any Zerglings up in our base. Roach Warren can be dropping up back home for White Phoenix, which means he'll probably go for a Roach push of some nature. Maybe he'll follow it up with a Roach Hydra. He could technically also delay for a Roach Hydra push, or wait till he has the Spire up and go for a Roach Hydra Corruptor push. There's a lot of options for him right now. He could also go for the Spire, push out with the Roach Warren and a Hydralisk Den to the front, and then assault the back with Mutalisks, which will be a nice little tidbit. But it looks like we're going to be seeing Cube go up onto his +2 Blink. We haven't Blink started up, that +1 finishing up as well. And that second upgrade will probably be on the way fairly shortly here. Third base is going to be started here from Cube, and now he's going to cube his next eye. Ha ha, another math joke. Alright, we're gonna have the Zerglings run away. Layers coming up back home for White Phoenix, and that is fantastic. We always like seeing that. Means he'll be able to get Hydralisks, or Mutalisks, or really anything that isn't Zerglings and Roaches. So you gotta respect that. +2 upgrades is gonna be on its way here from our weapons of our ground gateway army. Meanwhile, our Zerg player has begun to drone up, dropping down his Hydralisk Den as well, so a push isn't very unlikely at this point. However, with the Blink, we could also be seeing that from our Protoss opponent, Protoss player, I suppose. It's very likely that he could be doing a Blink push out with with sentries, maybe with Immortals, but he's not going to be going for robotics facilities, so that's probably not quite as likely. Is up on quite a few sentries at this point, 9 of them. So that's going to be quite helpful if he has backup to those units, because I know that force fields can do wonders in the world of StarCraft 2. We're missing Growspine first, as opposed to the Hydralisk speed, which that's a preference-based thing. Personally, I like having the speed up as opposed to the range, just so that I can get around a little bit faster, especially on a bigger map. Deadwing really isn't that big of a map, but it's still fairly big. So I can definitely see going either way with that. We're going to be seeing a Spire drop down as well. So this could be either Corruptors or Mutas. I think Mutas are probably a little bit more likely in this situation, just because of the fact that the Corruptors would have to really have Colossi to beat up on. And seeing as Cube really isn't going Colossi, he's going for a large number of Blink Stalkers and Sentries. There's really no reason to go for Corruptors there, so I think Mutas are probably the better decision here from White Phoenix. We do have that Hydra speed on its way. Spire going to be finishing up in just a wee little bit here. We have that +3 coming up, as well as our Protoss player starts to move into position. Ooh. Gonna go for a warp in of Stalkers, and is going to be positioning himself outside this natural expansion. Is actually gonna force field off the drones? Oh no, they actually can't mine. I didn't. Oh man, I did not know that that actually was a thing. That is kind of annoying. We'll be having Cube blink up to the high ground with a few of his Stalkers, and we'll have them pretty much die on the spot. Mutos have been started now, but if Cube can move in and do damage here, if he maybe he blinks for with everything, he might be able to take care of it, but he still would need the sentry support to be able to take care of it. And with Mothership Core, oh, Mothership Core is about to go down, which means that that is not going to be able to get back home in enough time to deal with the Mutalisks. So right now, Cube has to either fall back immediately or press in now and try to beat his opponent. Because now that the Mutalisks are on the map, they're going to be able to be oh so annoying, as anyone who has ever played against Mutalisk can attain to. Or I think it would be a tone. Yes, a tone would probably be the correct terminology in that circumstance. But in any case, we're going to be having the Mutalisk fly on up to the main base and kill some probes. There aren't any cannons, there aren't any stalkers. There really isn't a whole lot back home here to defend against this for Cube. He's going to go for a warp into stalkers, but I'm not too sure that that's going to be enough to take on the Mutalisks, especially considering the fact that they're just going to be able to get away, grow in numbers, and then move back in again. Right now, Cube not really going to be able to get much done down here. I'm not sure what his game plan is, because I understand that he might be able to fire up to take care of the drones on the high ground, but at the end of the day, I don't think that's really going to do much. However, it looks like he's going to pull back his mutas here, White Phoenixes, and I have to question that choice. If Cube had decided to engage with the Stalkers, he probably very easily would have been able to take on the Mutalisks with his +3/+0 Stalkers right now, which is just, that is insane. But here it comes. We're going to be having an engagement between these two players and setting itself up. Cube going to be losing, I think, a pylon somewhere along the way. White Phoenix not feeling too confident in engaging quite so soon, and is going to be backing up. However, it looks like Cube is going to be moving up into Stargates, which I'm not sure that I agree with, to be perfectly honest. If he's going for Phoenixes, he really has the Blink Stalkers to be able to defend anyways. We're having a little bit of a Zergling push in here, try to get into the third base. And the Hydros are coming up as well, so this might be a base trade situation between these two players. And Cube is going to be getting up into this fourth base, but right now the Mutalisks are tearing away at the main base. There is going to be some nice, cute little Blink micro, but there is just too many Mutalisks in the air right now, and with the Hydros and the Lings tearing through that third base, our Protoss player is not looking quite so confident. It actually looks like he might have lost his army. Though I didn't really... Oh, no, he went back home. There's a lot of Stalkers on the field right now, which is... Yeah, it's going to help against the Mutalisks, but at the end of the day, I think that our Zerg player has this. Why do I think that? Because really, Blink Stalker Phoenix isn't a thing because there's really no need to go both. With the number of Blink Stalkers that are on the field right now from Cubed, he really doesn't need to go for Phoenix. So I would say go for Templar at this point. Try to get some AoE on the field, because right now, if your opponent does anything besides the Mutalisks and Lings, you're caught off guard. And with him taking an additional 3 bases, the Zerg player is going to get fairly scary here in a very short pattern. He's going to be moving up onto Corruptors right now as well, which is, it's not necessarily a big deal. Because once again, the Stalkers are going to be the bigger threat to his army than anything else, to be perfectly honest. Protoss player is going to be engaging down here with all of his Stalkers, but well, there comes the Zerg army moving up into the natural expansion. The Phoenixes are going to try to gain purchase here, and with some good micro, they should be able to take care of the Mutas, but that has nothing to do with being able to take care of this number of Hydralisks. And right now, Cube just can't afford it. He's losing his natural expansion. He's using a bunch of tech in response, and he's going all in for this. He knows that this is the only way he can win at this point. But White Phoenix, I feel like he just has a better way of doing this. Actually, the mass recall is going to come out. He might be able to catch this entire army off guard, but even so, the Hydralisks are going to be able to get an insane amount of DPS onto these Stalkers, and even if the Mutalisks have to fall back, these Hydras are going to be very much worth their cost, and Blink Micros coming up. I really don't think that there's much Cube can do about this. Lots of units are falling right now, and White Phoenix is going to be coming out of this victorious. And right now, Cube, he can't really produce much. He can produce a couple of stalkers here and there, but at the end of the day, that's not going to be enough to deal with the entire army of White Phoenix. And even on the off chance that this entire army gets wiped out, his opponent still has an additional 3 bases coming up now. Excuse me, very high additional stalkers being sent over to the main base, but right now, White Phoenix is going to go for the kill. He's going to try to take out as much as he can. In the meantime, it looks like those Mutalisks and Corruptors are going to be heading down to help defend against this, which, personally, I wouldn't send my Stalkers, excuse me, I wouldn't send my Mutalisks up against Stalkers, but that's personally just my dealio. It looks like he's going to be going all in for this and not worrying about his base back home, which is a valid point considering that, once again, he has 3 additional bases up on his opponent right now. And Cube, he can't really hold out. I don't really think that this is going to end up well for him. Now, this may be the time of the game that proverbial fat lady is singing. And if that's the case, she's singing a full-on opera. Because this game is pretty much over for Cube. He's just going to be losing the last couple of his buildings right now. And that's going to be the GG from Cube, knowing that he will not die. And he will leave before the final assimilator shall go down. Alright guys, now is the time as always that we take a look. Each of these players could have done better so that they and you can learn a little bit for next time. We're going to start with our protest player, and I really don't have much to focus on here for a protest player, so we're going to just pretend that this assimilator is everything that protest has, because really it is at the end of the day. So what could have our protest player done better? A Blink Stalker opening is a fairly decent opening, and I'm not going to shoot down +2, +3 Blink openings, because they're fairly good and they do their job. The problem, I think, that was really against Cube this game was that he didn't have AoE to deal with the Hydralisks. Yes, he had enough Blink Stalkers to be able to deal with the Corruptors, but when it came down to the Hydralisk versus Stalker, that really didn't turn out too well for him. So he definitely needs to add in more AoE to his army. Colossus, Storm, I would probably suggest towards the later stages of this game, Storm more than Colossus, because there was a large number of air units that were in the sky that were probably going to be able to take out any sort of Colossus army. But I think the big thing from Cube, he needed AoE in this game, and he just simply didn't have it. On White Phoenix's side of the things, he went for kind of a strange build, that he went for what looked like a Roach Hydra build into Mutas, which I'm not going to say didn't work out for him, but I wasn't really sure exactly what it was that he was wanting to do. Roach Hydra and Mutalisks are kind of 2 separate builds for the reason that they don't necessarily mix very well. And there are some cases like this game where they do. And in those cases, when you have the Hydras to deal with the Stalkers, and the Mutas can just do whatever the heck they want, that's good. But usually you see Roach Hydra used as a more economical and macro-oriented composition for most of the time beginning level players. And when you see Mutalisks, usually you're going to be seeing Mutalisks in this matchup as Mutalisks and Lings. Because Ling Muta is very good because it's very, very cost effective, much like Roach Hydra is with itself. So I think instead of splicing the two together, it's better to do one or the other. Alright. Okay guys, I do think that will be it for this one. Before I go, a few real quick announcements. If you like this class, please comment, like, subscribe, and share. If you'd like to get your game casted by me, you can send a replay on over to ZookaMan900 @gmail.com. Or if you'd like to get a game casted and don't mind if it's me, you can go check out a subreddit called Cast, that will be in the description below. Great place to go meet new people, both casters and castees alike. Great community and a lot of good people there. So it's a good place to go check out. Besides that, I believe that's going to be it for this one, guys. So this is ZookaMan, and we'll see you on the next cast. Take care, guys.